Think about your founder as your mascot, right?
I am the mascot in a lot of ways, the sales rapper. Let's say we're live streaming IRL at a conference.
Which we are going to do.
We are going to do.
It's going to be really fun.
It's going to happen
We're
this
going to
year.
have a lot of skits and fun things planned out with it.
What will be novel? What will be new about collaboration in B2B?
We're starting to see a slow rise in creators cross-promoting each other. We just dropped the song Down featuring Sarah Brazier, who's an OG LinkedIn pop star, as
right.
quoting you. We got Lex Freeman in the house.
Lex Dingman
in the house.
That's right. We got Jake Rogan in the house.
we need you to bring a tie next time so you can be the real Lex.
Oh man, I don't know if I'm a tie guy.
And I'll shave the head. For
you gonna okay, if you shave the head, I'll wear a tie. All right, folks, welcome back to the EventShark TV Podcast, episode 2. Shout out to everyone that watched and engaged with episode 1. We don't have a name officially. Jake, what's going on?
Yeah, we in the first episode, if you were listening carefully, you heard us say the Pop-Up Podcast. We're not doing that name anymore. We're open to crowdsourcing ideas. So if you can crowdsource or suggest ideas for the podcast, the topics are around B2B content, LinkedIn content. What else are we going to talk about on the podcast?
B2B marketing, video content, how folks are leveraging video in B2B.
For this episode, we're going to do our top 10 B2B content predictions for 2025. I actually had a LinkedIn post about this, but now we're going to dive into each topic.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of conversation on my LinkedIn post. Actually, a lot of people were agreeing for the most part. Some people were saying, picking out different stuff. So I want us to break down actually, like, there are a lot of thought went into these predictions. And I want us to break down all the different predictions. What are we cooking up for 2025? What you should be cooking up for 2025. And let's hit it right now.
All right, Jake, let's do some thought leadership.
That's right. Thought leadership. Speaking of, number one prediction for 2025 is that founders go full content creator mode. What does that mean?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
Well, so I think that for the longest time, we've had founders say, okay, I'm a technical founder. I'm not a content creator. There's so much stuff within the company that I have to do that take precedence over content. But what we're seeing heading into 2025 is that content is such a foundational and important part of business. And when a founder is engaged in the content creation, you get so much additional benefit from it that it's a no-brainer for every founder on earth to take content seriously in 2025. In the past, you had your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but for a company, content was lower on that rung. But now we're seeing outbound becoming increasingly more difficult. Folks are making buying decisions based on content more and more frequently, so that the content lever, when it's pulled by a founder, it generates such more results now than it used to, that it has to go higher on that prioritization list.
Yeah, and everyone's known that founder-led marketing has been important. I mean, Dave Gerhardt wrote the book on it many years ago. How many years ago? Probably like 3 or 4 years ago. So he actually had the book. Now people are realizing that we should be focusing on founder-led content. And, I guess the reason people aren't doing it, for whatever reason, founders aren't, they don't want to create content. They're too busy in the business. And there's been a lot of agencies, hence like EventShark, that have been popping up that can help amplify that, or an internal marketing team to just amplify the founder. And just like how a basketball team or NBA team has a mascot, think about your founder as your mascot, right? What do you think about that, Ding?
Well, I mean, I am the mascot in a lot of ways, the sales rapper.
We were joking on, we were joking about Ding being the mascot of EventShark. Yeah. Besides the actual shark as the mascot, Ding is the sales rapper.
That's right.
He's the mascot.
So even, Jake and I, our title is our co-founder. Jake's the CEO, I'm the mascot. It's official, all right? You heard it here first. Only on the EventShark TV Podcast. But Jake,
you got to update your LinkedIn to
that's
mascot.
Right, the mascot. But Jake, I want to dive a little bit deeper. So you mentioned that founders have reservations or excuses, or whatever you want to call it, right? I can't make content. I'm afraid of becoming a creator because I'm a founder. But in your experience, where have you seen that play out? Why is that wrong?
You ever listen to like an interview with Elon Musk? He always pauses for a long time because he's thinking, right?
Yeah.
So
Elon's a great segue into your answer. I mean, talk about founder brand. Talk about
Boom.
I own 3 companies that do well, and we don't pay for any marketing. Right? It's all founder led content, and he's just being himself. So
Yeah, exactly.
I think Elon's a great example of just the outsized awareness that he's able to bring to SpaceX and Tesla because of his personal brand.
Yeah. And also Tesla, or they don't ever advertise. It's actually it's a thing. He said this. I read the whole Elon Musk book. They don't advertise Tesla or any of those products. It's all just having a good product, word of mouth, and then just Elon tweeting and buying Twitter and just doing, that's his marketing. It's just him on social media. And that could be your brand too. It's just the founder brand is so important right now. Double down on it. And if you have reservations about it, have your marketing team create systems around you. So it's not taking away from you. It could be a lot of the structure a lot of companies are doing is you jump on a 60-minute Zoom call or maybe a couple hour in-person interview, batch a ton of content, give them the topics. You know, they started the company. They should know how to talk about the company and are thought leaders and experts on this because they've built the company. So, and it doesn't have to be the founder per se. It can be an exec, or if you have a marketing person that loves being in front of the camera, leverage them because it doesn't have to be the founder. Founder led is the idea, but it can be anyone that has influence or is excited about being in front of the camera.
Here's my hot take about executive content: is the number one subject matter at every company is the persona internally that their product is sold to. So let's say you sell to chief technology officers, then your technology leader internally at your company should be the main voice, the main subject matter expert. In most cases, this person is the founder of the company. And I also want to add one additional point of this big misconception when it comes to founder-led content, is that a lot of founders and a lot of executives think that in order for them to be a creator, for them to have founder-led content, that they got to go 0 to 100 real quick and be a full-time creator, that you have to go full Mr. Beast for your company to have founder-led content. So Jake, what do you have to say to that?
No, start with one post. Start with one piece of content. Just get in the content. Start with one. I think 0 to 1 is the hardest thing. Just getting started is the easiest thing. And then once you've seen success, then you can start doing 2 posts a week. And then it slowly becomes, next thing you know, you're posting every day. One of my big focuses you've been on LinkedIn forever, being active. We all know that. But internally, we're like, hey, for EventShark to be successful, Jake, you need to also be really active on LinkedIn. So one thing coming into 2024, this past year was, hey, Jake, you're going to be just as active as Ding on LinkedIn. And now has given EventShark 2 voices of the brand. And now we're even thinking about other team members at EventShark also creating content on LinkedIn, slowly building that internal content team and voice of the brand. So I think this is a perfect segue into our next topic. So that was number 1, founders go full content creator mode. That's our prediction. First prediction for 2025. Second one is video isn't a nice to have anymore. Before it was seen as a nice to have. 2025, you need to have video. You all saw it. LinkedIn dropped their video feed this past year. The LinkedIn video feed, it's the vertical feed. They basically saw Instagram do it. They saw the rise of TikTok. They saw the way that people were consuming content and wanted to consume content. Maybe it's not the way that LinkedIn wants to do it, but it's the way that consumers want to consume content. That's why they've piloted the LinkedIn video feed. That's a perfect example why video is, LinkedIn being the premier B2B content platform. LinkedIn video feed is a staple of that shift.
So 2 thoughts on that. You need to contextualize video in B2B with its predecessor types of content. So we had blog posts, gated resources, webinars, these types of more traditional content. One of the challenges is distributing these types of content. It's both very expensive and it's also very complex, right? So if you have a gated piece of content, you're not going to organically distribute that at scale in a channel without paid support. So inherently, to do traditional plays, even if you're doing SEO blog writing, for example, you're committing a ton of resources and the speed to impact is a lot lower than when you do video, when you do organic video, because where the audience attention is at right now is consuming that video. You want to meet your potential buyers where they are, not over-index on investment to try and get in front of their eyeballs in a subpar medium of communication.
It just also being the preferred way people want to view content. If you go on Amazon, there used to be text reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. It's a little bit, you can fake a text review or text content more easily than you can a video testimonial.
Yep.
As of now, maybe at the end of the year, it might be a little different, but the preferred people, it's just more authentic and trustworthy when you're consuming content via video. And I loved how you talked about your other content pieces, your research reports, or your other, what's the word I'm looking for? eBooks. You can also distribute that through video. If you have a really badass piece of content, using video as a means to distribute that is the perfect way to think about leveling out and layering your distribution in different formats.
Yeah. Jake, I think you brought up two really good points just now. One is talking about testimonial content and business storytelling. So one of the challenges of traditional mediums is that you're usually engaging only one sense. And what I mean by that is we have our 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, etc. I forgot what the last one was. But
Taste?
Taste, which Jake has great taste. So
I like your suit too.
Thank you very much. Well. Yeah, you have pretty good taste in co-founders here. But when we talk about senses, that's the way that the human brain intakes information, right? So historically, you were limited to essentially one sensory channel for communication, which is visual. Is if you have an ebook or a research report, then it's text-based. Maybe there's some charts and graphs, and you can look at it visually. When you add in video, suddenly you get more dimensional and you add audio to the component along with a moving image. And in doing so, you bring that feeling of humanity. One reason that AI video, something people complain about AI video, perhaps a deficiency right now, is that it doesn't feel quite real. There's an uncanny valley. And the reason that exists is because when it is non-AI video, it's live action captured, you can tell, the human brain can, through our sensory intake channels, tell that this is a real person speaking. And when that person is speaking about a product, talking about their experience using a solution to solve pain, that becomes so much more authentic and relatable versus seeing that written out. So I love that call out there.
And you can feel the passion on video more so than a text post. Like you can use exclamation points, but there's something just seeing a testimonial or a product. If you're going to be buying a product, you're spending real money on that. You want to make sure, have all the information that you can to make the right informed decision. Video is the perfect way to translate that information in an authentic way.
What they always tell us in sales was that people buy with emotion and they justify with logic. When you use video as part of your sales process, you're able to do both.
Boom. Prediction number 3 is in-person content takes off. Ooh. What do we think about in-person content?
Well, we do a lot of it.
Why do we do a lot of in-person content versus remote shoots? The shoots over Zoom.
So there's a lot of benefits, but specifically the reason that in-person content is more powerful than remotely recorded content is that you have a feeling of being in person, which is lost when you lose a lot of the communication context over video. And what I mean by that is when humans communicate, we communicate often through micro expressions, body language, and that adds a new dimension to the interaction on camera, the conversation that's being had, that we're in this room right here, versus we're only looking at each other through webcams and a computer screen. So the energy level of in-person content is different. And the second piece is that when we say in-person content, we're often talking about content capture tied to events. The beauty of doing event-led in-person content is that you're in a physical proximity with not just one person, but a community of different voices, different points of view. You're able to scale out a much more ambitious and both qualitative and quantitative form of content capture beyond what you're able to do in a one-on-one setting remotely.
Absolutely, and especially at the events, EventShark, we have it in our name, is because we do really, truly, at the core of our business, believe in in-person event content.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be an event, but in-person shoots, or event, you're at a conference, all your partners, customers, anyone that you would want in a piece of content is going to be there. So how can you take advantage of that opportunity, batch a ton of content, do it in person, and there's a reason why the really successful podcasts like Rogan and Lex Friedman is that they don't do Zoom podcasts. They do it in person, because you're kind of talking about there is some kind of feeling that being in person.
Yep.
And a feeling not just between you and me right now, it's between the audience as well, is that you can feel this conversation happening a little bit more. You can relate to it. And then also people are just craving real world connections, and the Zoom fatigue is real. People are, not every conversation obviously can be done in person. So sometimes you have to do Zoom recordings and things like that. That's okay. But at the core, just know in-person content is going to slap so much harder on social.
It hits differently.
It hits differently.
One benefit of doing in-person content is you reduce the amount of logistical intensity on the long tail of production. So what I mean by that is typically when people do remote podcasts, you're scheduling an interview every week, every other week, etc. There's a lot of back and forth communication process to make sure the thing is ongoing. However, if you switch to an in-person format, then over, let's say, a 2-day conference or a 2-day company all hands, you're able to batch out 8 different interviews across the 2 days. You have all of your capture done, and post-production is handled by an external vendor or an editor in-house, and you don't have the logistical intensity of, every single week we got to line up a new guest, we got to record. It's all done, and you don't have to think about it afterwards. For busy executives, busy founders who don't have the bandwidth to constantly be on camera every other week, that's the way to go.
Yeah, you're a founder at an offsite conference, sit in a room like this or rent a room like this, just have guests come in, book it all in advance. Now you have a whole season of content, and a whole season of content from one shoot. And that's one of the things about EventShark is we really want to maximize in-person content, give you as much content as you can possibly shoot, and then spend that over the next few quarters. And so going back, this is something that we offer, but why is this a prediction for 2025? Is that companies are starting to realize that this is such a good opportunity to batch content. So that's why our prediction is that in-person content is going to take off. There's tons of micro events going on, conferences going on. People want to take advantage of everyone in person. Look forward to on LinkedIn and B2B event content to be taken off in 2025. But that's prediction number 3. Prediction number 4 is collaborative content takes center stage. And this is, I'll give you props on this one because this is your idea. This is your prediction.
Collaborative content. We always talk about how B2B is a few years behind B2C content. So with that natural progression of over the last 2 years, we saw short form video, we saw video first creators start dominating in B2B. So the logical next step is collaboration content. We saw this throughout the COVID years with a bunch of big TikTokers linking up, big YouTubers linking up. Back in the day, right, the Paul brothers, they would bring other YouTubers, right? We had the Hype House. We had different B2C or mainstream style creators all linking up. The reason that collaborative content is great is because not only are you collaborating on the creative itself, you're also collaborating on audience. And what I mean by that is don't try and force collaborations, but collaborations that make sense from a brand standpoint are very powerful, because if one creator is in this niche and they have a certain audience and they talk about similar stuff with this other creator, there's a great chance that their audience has overlapping interests and you're spreading that wealth.
Yeah, and think about just Mr. Beast and Cristiano Ronaldo, who just did their big YouTube collab. Cristiano Ronaldo had the #1 most subscribed channel, broke the record for most subs in a month. And Mr. Beast is like, let's do a collab. So they did a collab, and then both cross-pollinated audiences, and you can do that for your own business. Cross-pollinating, and people sniff it out if it feels fake or unauthentic. But if there's a real good overlap, whether it's LinkedIn creators or B2B creators or brands or companies, find another brand that you guys can cross-pollinate. You all have potentially matching customer ICPs. How can you double down on that content? Yeah.
So Jake, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? We just talked about B2C versus B2B creator or content collaboration. What will be novel? What will be new about collaboration in B2B that we haven't seen traditionally in the mainstream side?
We're starting to see a slow rise in creators cross-promoting each other. We just dropped the song Down featuring Sarah Brazier, who's an OG LinkedIn pop star, as
right.
Quoting you. That feels fresh, right? it was seeing Sarah in a different light that people are definitely going to recognize her. Like,
Yep.
oh, that's Sarah singing. That's sweet. And it's a new creative outlet for her. We get to collaborate with Sarah, and that felt really organic and fresh because
Yep.
you and Sarah have shot videos in the past. You all are friends. So
Yep.
having her on a song was awesome. That was a great example of something that feels fresh in B2B.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, huge shout out to Sarah Brazier, y'all. I think I first followed her back in 2020 before I was posting content. So real OG trailblazer in the space. Shout out Devin Reed, Udi over at Gong. What you guys have done from a content standpoint has been incredible and inspired a lot of this industry. But it was awesome getting to collaborate in a more creative way with Sarah. I know Sarah's one of the top voices in the sales space, but such a talented individual from a performance standpoint, a creative, artistic standpoint. So to be able to collaborate on a song, was a really fresh experience. I mean, how did we meet, right? Is we did creative collaboration in B2B in a couple years. Now we're sitting here doing a podcast.
Yeah, truly. It was pretty sweet. Creative collaboration. And Sarah, I did, when I was an SDR, I would listen, check out her posts, and she'd give some pretty good advice. Shout out to Sarah Brazier on that. Yeah. Going back to collaborative content as a brand, what are the ways that you can collaborate with other brands, with creators? And I think before, for creators or individuals at companies, it was kind of taboo. If you're at a company, can you collaborate with another brand? I think that's a little bit more open to do that, right? People are doing brand deals on the side. I think just having if you're a creator at a company, having a conversation with your manager, making sure it's all cool, or having the marketing teams of both companies kind of working with each other, that is an opportunity that I think is do well.
So I love that last point, is that I think the innovation in B2B content collaboration will be at the company level. And what that looks like is actually not that different than what we've always had, is because we've always had co-sponsorships, right? We have multiple companies going in to co-sponsor an event. So you can run that same structure with content. And now we know that video content, let's say, has a higher ceiling of distribution than an in-person event could, right? So you run that same play of let's co-sponsor this piece of content, and you have a creator collab as well. And then you're benefiting from the overlap and the cross-pollination of in a larger total addressable audience, right? Okay. And what's also different now is in 2024 compared to 10 years ago, we have a lot more creative first content creators in the B2B space specifically, right? Sarah Uwe, Vimatano, right? I think that's a great example of those two creators coming together with the podcast. Ross, Corporate Bro, and Natalie coming together with the Demoted podcast.
Great collaborations between both those podcasts. And even you and me collabing and doing EventShark. So collaborations are going to be big in 2025. The creator economy in LinkedIn and the B2B world is popping off. Yeah. It's popping up.
I think that's the thing, right? We're no longer in the meta of the creator economy is coming to B2B. No, the creator economy is right now. It's the status quo. It's present tense, and it's been going for a while, but it's only going to expand further from here.
So that was number 4. Collaborative content takes center stage. Number 5 is our prediction is going to be more niche content shows in 2025. Is prediction number 5. What's that broken down?
Niche content. So what do you mean by niche content?
Niche content, as in we do a lot of shows in logistics. It's not. These content doesn't need to go viral. It just needs to go viral in your niche category, whether it's lead routing, whether it's project management operations, or these little niche categories. We're gonna see a lot of these content shows pop up from these B2B companies because you don't need a Mr. Beast type show. You can just have a small content show pop up. It's going to serve the customer base. A lot of these B2B companies have 500, 1,000 customers. That's who the audience is going to be for, is how to use the tool better in a fun and creative way. What are the new products coming out, the new features? Niche content shows for B2B companies and their customers is kind of what I was kind of calling out on the prediction.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to redefine what success means in B2B content. When you break down the total addressable market for any company in B2B, you're really only selling to a maximum of, let's say, 30 to 40,000 potential accounts, right? Of across that, let's say at 5 decision makers, you're at most targeting 200,000 people in the world, right? And we have this expectation that if a video doesn't get 1 million views, it's not viral. And a lot of folks are chasing that dopamine, chasing the vanity metrics, when in reality, you could get 1 million view video, just from very, very basic napkin math, if only 2,000 people in your ICP are right targets, then you get 1 million view video, 800,000 of those people inherently on a mathematical basis cannot be relevant to what your company is trying to sell. So I think that's a great call out, Jake, about niche content taking off, because, I think we have a great example near and dear to us, right? Kevin Lawton at the New Warehouse podcast. Kevin has, done this podcast for several years at this point. I think he's past 500 episodes now. And if you break down the individual episode view count, it might not be super impressive. But if you go around the logistics industry, just about everyone knows who Kevin Lawton is. And that is how I define success in a niche.
Yeah, there's all these stats, right? It's like, all these impression stats and things like that might look low potentially if you're putting out content on social. Yeah. But yeah, you have such a small audience that you're really trying to sell to and get in front of. Yeah. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Who cares if 1 billion people saw it if the people in your ICP didn't see it?
Yeah.
We're working on one project with Hockey Stack, for example. They drop a new, like a few minute video every week. And it kind of talks about how to use Hockey Stock better in a creative way. And just little things like that is going to be great for customer retention.
Yep.
Customer retention at the end of the day. This is a huge focus for these B2B companies, is that you have all these logos, but now you actually need to retain them. And having a content drip it's better than an email newsletter. A new email newsletter on product updates. If there's a cool niche content show, talks about updating products or whatever it is about that company that's interesting, that's going to help your customer retention. Yeah.
So quick micro prediction before we move on to the next one.
A mini micro prediction.
Mini micro
5.5. This prediction 5.5.
That's right. Prediction 5.5. So to Jake's point is that a lot of great video content that we're working on right now is deep, below funnel, even post sale, right? Is product marketing style content, post sale customer success style content. When a lot of people think video, they're thinking TikTok, virality, top of funnel, that we're going to convert prospects into opportunities with video. When in reality, the most important piece of video for a company's revenue are the deep funnel content that maybe 25 people ever see, and then but that video helps close 7 deals.
Boom.
Right? That's the most impactful piece of content, video content, that any company will have. So my prediction is that in 25 and beyond, we're going to see more investment from companies building out even more niche videos that are designed for a very, very selective crowd, a small number of people's eyeballs, but still bringing in traditional video production best practices, high quality production, watchability, retention, because those are going to be more important when you have a more asynchronous onboarding and customer success build out. It takes pressure off of your CSMs on your account managers to onboard and implement when you have great assets that help facilitate that process.
Banger call out. I think with YouTube is becoming more relevant in B2B. This is a content prediction, but being able to keyword for super specific use cases like us, video agency, project management use cases, like that would be something that we would watch and then we would sign up with that company right away. So these little opportunities inside the niche content shows and really streamlining the bottom of the funnel content, because that's the stuff that's really going to move the needle, and close clients and retain clients.
A summary of that is that in 25, product and CS teams are going to start implementing video more and see great results from using video.
Everyone uses Loom. Evolution of that will be more produced videos.
Yeah. I mean, what did we see, right? We went from the GTM teams using Zoom interviews to now the video content across the board has leveled up. So I see a similar thing of CS product teams using heavy reliance on Looms, but then upping the production value and watchability of those videos, because it would suck if you did a 2.5 minute Loom and someone clicked off within 15 seconds because it was a hard watch.
Yeah.
Right. We know that this happens because
there are hard watches. It
Yeah.
needs to be easy.
Yeah.
It needs to be easy to watch. So I think that's a great prediction. 5.5.
boom.
I like that. Good stuff. All right. So number 6, AI generated video picks up mainstream late 2025. That is my prediction.
That's your prediction. Well, AI video. So within the past 3 months, we've seen a lot of AI video developments, right? So Hailuo, the Chinese video AI that released last year, that's been making waves. Runway has debuted some product updates, and most notably Sora Model 2 from OpenAI. They finally opened that up to the public. So now there's a more democratized access to AI generative video. But how do you think that's going to impact the B2B space?
The prediction is that it's coming. It's still really, these are the early adopters like us, or they're already starting to get into Sora. We've been making AI videos for a few months now. So people are experimenting. It's in the experimental phase. Like people are trying to understand how to use this. It's going to be important with B2B video.
Yeah.
I think a really interesting use case is just leveling up the B-roll. Like over stock footage, same old office shots, just leveling up the B-roll so it's more specific, exactly what you want. You can create AI films and things like that, but at the end of the day, we're creating value-based content in B2B. So how can we enhance that content? Is talking content like this, but now we're intersplicing really clever AI videos into that to make it more watchable. I just watched a Netflix documentary. I forget the exact name, but I could tell the entire video was using AI video. So it's going to help with costs, number one, so you don't need to rent out a whole studio to get this B-roll library or use stock footage, and just going to make the content look better. But we're still in the early phases. It's not going to become really mainstream till more people get their hands on Sora.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm thinking about it, at least. What about you?
I love that you mentioned using generative AI videos as B-roll. I think that's an example of when they say that AI is not going to replace people in the short term. It's going to be industry or domain experts leveraging AI to further push the boundaries of possibility. And so for us as filmmakers and video producers, we use a lot of B-roll, be that stock footage, be that B-roll that we capture, be that client supplied source material. But when you add in the ability to generate video in whatever style of whatever you want with AI, suddenly you unlock a new possibility of storytelling, and you raise the ceiling of what traditional talking head content can look like in B2B. And I think another great call out is if you look at folks like YouTubers like CoffeeZilla, for example, they get a lot of notoriety for using Unreal Engine and very fancy like video game modeling on their green screen videos for a high def background. Well, now instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars to have that coded and built for you, you can simply input something into a generative AI and then have that video on loop. We might even do that with this.
Yeah. AI video.
It's coming. So I think it's one of those things where
don't be scared either.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be scared.
Yeah.
With
Listen,
AI video.
with AI video, if we're screwed, we're all screwed. And if we're screwed, it's a matter of time. But that time is not happening yet. So what that means is there's opportunity, right?
Yeah, it's just going to level up. We're going to get spoiled because we're going to just have better videos. That's just going to be the end of the day. People are still going to need to put the stuff together, edit the videos, but it's really going to make intense projects or really large projects just condensed and easier and cheaper. So that's going to be the power of AI video and AI in general.
Yeah, and we use a lot of AI in our agency, but not all of it is purely asset generation. Right. What we found is the biggest superpower of AI for our creative process is actually organization, summarization, storyboard generation, taking our scattered thoughts and presenting them in a cohesive and organized manner. So then it reduces a lot of cognitive load in our creative process. We can focus on being creative, using our imagination, and skip and have AI help us with some of the more tedious aspects of crafting the art.
Yeah, it's just giving the painters the paintbrush, or like a paint cannon, I guess is the better way to go about it. That was number 6. AI generated video picks up mainstream in late 2025. That is prediction number 6. Going into number 7, creative norms get smashed. And my example here was ClickUp, who killed it in 2024. They basically took over B2B and LinkedIn with their funny, humorous, music-based content, which we love.
Yep. The HR remixing popular songs format. I think the flash mob, filming that in person, right? And because here's what's interesting about ClickUp. Flash mobs aren't new, right? Flash mobs have been around since the mid-aughts, but aligning a flash mob with a big scale event and then having dedicated video capture of that, packaging the story in a well-produced way after the fact, and then being intentional with distribution. That's what enabled ClickUp to win. It's doing all of the different pieces of breaking the conventional norm, but doing all of those individual pieces at a high level. That brings success.
Yeah, and the reason it is a prediction, because breaking creative norms has always been a thing, but I think ClickUp proved it. Because everyone in B2B wanted better content. They want to be funny. They want to have things that aren't so serious. And ClickUp proved it to other B2B companies that this formula does work. So I think there's going to be a lot of marketing leaders at these companies saying, "Hey, let's look at ClickUp. Let's kind of do that in our own style." So I really think that set the precedent that it's okay to be kind of wacky and be kind of crazy in B2B, and you're not going to get looked at too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even internally for us, looking back at our top performing content in 2024 was a lot of music videos, filming a long form golf, multi-part golf video with user evidence, Mark Huber, Dave Gerhardt. Like, we've been moving fast and breaking things and trying to change the game for a while. What I think is exciting is that the mainstream perception in the industry has caught up. Whereas when I started sales rapping in 2020, I was the only person doing that style of content on LinkedIn. And then now we're seeing more music driven content. We're seeing more. I mean, a great example, Clue.
Yeah,
Clue have been making very high production style skits where it almost feels like a Netflix show that I'm watching, and I can hardly believe they're talking about competitive intelligence, but with the color grading and the set design and the acting. So I got to tip my hat over to the creative team at Clue. Doing a really good job.
Facts. And it's funny because, before, we're going to need some budget to get this sales rapper in 2021. It was a little bit of more of like a convincing the marketing team. Now it's like, hey, we're going to do something creative. Everyone's on board with that.
Yeah.
That's the only way to, especially the battle, if you're going against a company with more budget than you, more team members, bigger customer base, they got all the money in the world.
Yeah.
How do you beat that? You use creativity.
Yeah.
And that was what unlocks competitiveness.
Yeah, it's the great leveler of the playing field, is that you can have a smaller company. I mean, even EventShark, right? We're not like the biggest company in the world, but I think perception-wise, folks think that we're larger and more ahead of where we are because of our content output, the production level, the branding, the overall aesthetic. And companies are running that play right now, and they're winning big because of it.
I love that. Okay, so that was number 7. Creative norms get smashed. Number 8. LinkedIn's video feed continues to gain momentum.
Boom.
And we don't have to go too much into this, but it was basically a beta LinkedIn video feed. Like, is this going to be a thing? I'm seeing more people using this. I don't think LinkedIn's pricing off the gas anytime soon. TikTok, who knows what's going to happen with TikTok? Might get pulled.
Yeah.
That's a huge opportunity for LinkedIn. And I think with LinkedIn's video feed, there's going to be a lot of creators from other channels who are going to start realizing, hey, why aren't I on LinkedIn? Yeah. So I really think LinkedIn is going to start popping off even more in 2025, and one of the key drivers is going to be LinkedIn video feed. So LinkedIn's not going anywhere. I'm very, very, very bullish on LinkedIn. Been very bullish since I got into the corporate world, and I'm even more bullish than ever on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no notes.
No notes. All right. Number 8, LinkedIn's video feed continues to gain momentum. Number 9, quality over quantity wins is my B2B content prediction for 2025. And this might be something that you argue with. I don't know.
What if I do feel compelled to disagree with you?
I think we're allowed to agree because this is the age-old question.
So here's my thoughts on. I think quality is important. I think quality is the most important thing. But what that means is quality is your floor. That's the baseline. That's table stakes. I think that you need quality no matter what, and quality and scale is what will win the race. Because the reality of content is that distribution is just as, if not
you
more
didn't
important.
let me finish my point, though.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay.
It needs to be quality content.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying about this point is that there will be fewer higher pieces of B2B content, aka the golf interview series we did with Mark Huber and Dave Gerhardt. It's about a 60-minute video. It's a very long, in three parts.
Yeah,
we create it's a 60-minute asset that we cut up into 3 parts, and we're also making a lot of shorts out of it. So it's one piece of content that we're chopping up and redistributing. So what I'm saying is, people are going to focus on making really, 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 really good content, and then going into what you're saying is distributing it in the right way. So we're not just throwing out 30 pieces of fluff.
Yep.
Maybe it's just one banger piece of content that is distributed in 30 different ways.
No notes. And what I love about that is you have your core piece of, not just high, but extreme level of quality. And that's a magnet, right? And all the pieces of repurposed content that it informs is you're really building an attention funnel. Is that when you make a clip of a extreme production video, what you're really doing is, hey, let's pique your interest with this segment to drive folks to watch and consume the longer piece of content, and you get the mind share in the brand implementation benefits of that. And then now they're in that attention funnel. And then you could drip more conventional problem solution persona-based messaging at them.
So I had to cut you off there because I hadn't finished the point, because I 100% would agree with you. Yeah. If you just have one really good piece of video and you don't distribute it the right way, you're cooked. You just waste a bunch of money.
Yeah. I mean, take our music videos, right? The long form horizontal videos, they do okay on LinkedIn. Engagement's high. I think for the weekend video it was about 800 likes, 200 comments, 20 reposts. But then when you have horizontal video, you're capped at the impressions and views wise. So I think that video did about 75,000 impressions, about 40,000 views. But then when we reclipped it, and because horizontal doesn't make the video feed as easily, when we took the vertical clips and those made the feed, we ended up getting another 500,000, 10 times the amount of eyeballs of the original post.
Yeah.
So that's why distribution is so important. A good piece of content will be a good piece of content, forever.
Yeah, and it really ties back to, and then kind of put these 2 points next to each other, was how the LinkedIn video feeds can continue to gain momentum, because you can use the redistribution of content from high quality assets into the LinkedIn video feed as your fuel, taking advantage of that organic impressions while you can, and then you can also run ads on your content. Yeah.
On the feed, one note on the feed, something I'm really excited for is that as more folks start consuming content on LinkedIn, as more creators start producing and adding content to the feed on LinkedIn, the targeting is going to be a lot better. So right now, in the early stages of LinkedIn video, they're pulling all of the total videos that are uploaded onto LinkedIn and sharing that with everyone, right? The beauty of TikTok and Instagram and all of these algorithmically driven news feeds is that the algorithm is a recommendation engine that's delivering personalized content. So what I'm really excited in the next year, 2 years, is that LinkedIn and Microsoft, they're having some of the best minds in algorithm design work on this. So the content feed on LinkedIn is just going to become more personalized, more relevant. And that's a plus for the consumer, and that's a plus for the creators, aka the companies.
Yeah. So rounding it off with number 10. This is my favorite one, actually. And the one I think you and me might both be most excited for. It's at number 10. Live streaming finds its place in B2B. Woo! Live streaming in B2B?
Yeah. I think we see a rebrand of webinars into live streams.
Boom. It won't be webinar.
It won't be webinar. Yeah. I mean, we just did the holiday party live stream with Exit 5.
And do you call it a webinar or a live stream?
We called it not a webinar, and I've been calling it the live stream. And it makes sense. If you look at mainstream consumer behavior with content, live streaming is huge. Some of the biggest creators on earth right now are Kai Cenat, Aiden Ross, iShowSpeed, live creators. My feeling of why live content works so well is you have an unprecedented level of access. The viewer is a part of the content. The chat is a part of the content.
You feel like you're part of it.
Yeah.
And that's why these because you and me both were just listening to the iShowSpeed interview.
Yeah.
Where there's such a connection and deep loyalty to anyone engaging with the streamers.
And I think there's a misconception in B2B. When a lot of folks hear the word streamer or streaming, they think of 2016 Ninja sitting on his computer, right? Small face in the corner playing Fortnite. But in reality, streaming has evolved so far beyond that.
Now we're playing software.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're playing software, but there's this concept called IRL, in real life streaming. Right. And I
think this is what we're kind of talking about, where we want to get to, right? I think this is kind of like the crux of where we want to go from EventShark. And we're going to be experimenting with some more live streaming this year. Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled. There's some perhaps at the next major event near you. But why is live streaming good? It's really the connection with the audience, and it's the possibility for collaboration depending on how you run it. I want to give a big shout out to Sell Better. I think that they've been implementing live streaming, one of the best design programs that I've seen from a consistency standpoint.
Sell Better. Shout out Sell Better.
Yeah, shout out the team there. I know Will Aitken has led a lot of those trainings. I've done a couple of live trainings with Sell Better.
Yeah, I remember I actually watched that live stream that you were on.
Yeah, what I love about the way they have it set up is that there's a dedicated audience component to it. There's a Q&A, they're referencing the chat. And that, because that is the biggest difference between live content versus pre-recorded content. A lot of marketers to this day treat live content in B2B like it's a pre-recorded episode. Let's have a 5 minutes at the end for questions. We'll have people click a button to vote. But it doesn't really reflect the users.
A lot of times it's premeditated like questions too. It's like, oh, ask these questions. We're not actually
like you know what I would
live or it's fake live.
You know what I'd love to see? So you know how on Twitch, if you buy a subscription or you gift a sub, then the thing flashes on the screen. There's a sound effect, and the streamer's like, oh, shout out, gamer 20, right?
Yeah.
In B2B, if you book a demo. Right, or you download an asset, or you subscribe to the newsletter. Yeah, there's a similar level of call out.
Hey, we got another sub on the newsletter.
Let's go! It's dopamine hacking, and when it's higher energy like that, people love that.
Yeah, I mean, even like if we're at a conference, if you buy a hat, we'll get hyped or whatever. I don't know what it would be, but I think there's some fun activations we can do.
So for us, let's say we're live streaming IRL at a conference.
Which we want to do, which we are going to do.
We are going to do.
It's going to be really fun.
It's going to happen
We're
this
going to
year.
have a lot of skits and fun things planned out with it.
But what you could do as the audience is start thinking, start put your thinking caps on, get ready for this. What you could do as audience, when we're streaming IRL, you can ask us to do stuff, right? Go and talk to this person.
A puppet.
Yeah, we're live entertainment, right? We're your entertainers. So tell me to go up to this booth and pretend that I'm from Oracle and I want to buy the. Right, you can tell me to do that, and that would be funny live content.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, shout out Will Aitken. They did a Practical Jokers skit at a conference. We should do that with like live streaming.
Yes.
What you're doing. That'd be hilarious.
Incredible.
One more thing about live streaming is you mentioned that if it's real.
Yeah.
I think with the more AI and fake shit that's coming out on the internet, you can't fake being live.
No.
You can't fake being live. So I really, really believe long term, this is what people are going to be experiencing and feeling on B2B, and the way they're going to be buying and booking demos is this live interaction.
Wow, that's good.
So live is the perfect counterbalance against AI, and also in person. There's no AI in this room. There's no AI in this room. So in person and live content is only going up in 2025.
Boom.
That is that's the 10 content predictions. hopefully you found this long video, this long form audio episode helpful.
Yeah.
You know, we are here to, me and Ding are basically talking about this shit all day. We live and breathe LinkedIn. We are just LinkedIn B2B content nerds. Like this is the only thing that we really think about. It's really sad if you really put it into that way. But we want to share kind of what's in our heads more in a long form format, so y'all can get value, crush your B2B marketing goals for 2025. Think about fun ways to, and I love what we do is that we can help people. Like we're on set with people having fun. And I think being in person and creating these content, it's fun, right? So the more that you can flex your creative muscle and see success with content on social, I think it's just a win-win situation. So thanks for listening to the EventShark podcast on EventShark TV. Still open to names.
That's right. Yeah, happy New Year. Welcome to 2025, everyone. Hope everyone had a great holidays. Thank you to everyone that tuned in for episode 1. Like Jake said, we're looking for name suggestions. Maybe you get a Ding sales rapper shout out if we pick your name for the show. But yeah, if you enjoyed this conversation, give us a follow, subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, the platform of your choice. Like Jake said, we're full-time nerds of this. Live, eat, breathe, sleep, B2B content. And we want to share that with y'all. So expect more episodes coming frequently throughout the year. It's going to be a good 2025.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun guests. We already have some interviews already at a shot that are some really fun ones that we're going to be doing. So we're going to be having some different, it's not just going to be us in this podcast studio. I think this is for us to really talk about, get into the weeds of B2B content, but we're also going to mix it up with the podcast and show you also what you can do besides just doing this, right? There's other ways to share information and have fun with it. So we're pumped. We're going to be dropping episodes at least monthly, maybe more. And we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.